minutes to just let you know who she is and what she has achieved in her career. Ms. Ashlesha Thakur is a passionate educationist with over 2.5 decades experience in education. She is the CEO of Lead Innovation and specializes in setting up schools, transforming schools into high-performing organizations, evangelizing better parenting, and empowering educators. Ms. Ashlesha has conceptualized and implemented large-scale training programs for teachers. Over the past 2 decades, she has trained over 42,000 teachers across India in over 1,100 schools. Am I right, Mark? So she's a trained school accreditor assessor from NABT and has conducted school audits in several schools. She has been involved in developing curriculum based on Reggio Emilia and Harvard University's Making Learning Visible approach. She has presented numerous courses all over the world in countries like Saudi Arabia, Japan, Germany, and whatnot. She is also going to speak on different forums in India like NCRT, SOS Champs, CII, Wipro Partners Forum, Digital Learning, Grey Matters, Symposium, etc., etc. She is a known name and has a lot of awards in her kitty. She has been recognized on a different forums. One such is Women's Power Achiever Award by SOTAM, which she received in July 2017. She also won Education Award by World Education Congress 2016. Women Entrepreneur in Education Award by DNA Education Awards in 2016. Leading Women Entrepreneur in Award at the 6th Annual Women Leaders Conference in 2015. And a very different and very something which every one of us should be proud of, that is, she's also a recipient of Governor of Uttar Pradesh Award for Meritorious Performance in Education in 1992. Ms. Ashlesha is a chairperson of 7 Army Public School and is leading their school improvement initiative. A big round of applause for ma'am, though we cannot hear you do. Yes. Now over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. My God, what a long introduction. Meku sharam aa rahi hai. So, a very, very warm welcome to each one of you who are here. I am honored and privileged to be a part of this wonderful gathering. And I really appreciate the time that you've spent. The next 2 hours is a time that we will invest in getting to know some very interesting ways in which you can implement online teaching. A big shout out to Macmillan and to Vandana ma'am and Suruchi for bringing us all together. So can we give a big clap to them, although I can't see you, but I'm going to encourage you to give a big thumbs up and a big clap.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So Suruchi, you some ground rules for all of us.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that they can't hear. There's an audio problem, and I think now my voice is a little clear, I hope. I think all of you can. I'm getting the messages. So Suruchi, you are responsible for keeping and manning the chat box. If there are, I won't take questions in between, but if you feel that there is some point that is absolutely not clear and a lot of people are raising it, please stop me. I will repeat that.
Sure.
From the quick survey that I ran a little while ago, every one of you want me to speak bilingually, but mostly in English, and I will follow that. Whatever you say is what I propose to actually follow. For some of you who aren't able to hear me, can you kindly take a look at your own mic? Because for most people, I think the mic is working, this thing is working. There is a network problem, and we are almost 477 and counting. There's a little bit of a bandwidth issue, so bear with us. That is going to be a challenge. There may be a problem that this thing might not work. The audio and video might create problems, but that's technology, and we need to just take it in our stride, I think. There's also going to be a Q&A at the end, and you're welcome to pose as many questions as you want. Suruchi is going to handle all the Q&A. She'll try and club the questions together so that we're able to answer them. In the registration form, I'd asked you to tell me what kind of challenges you're facing, and also how are you actually doing teaching and learning. And a lot of the presentation that I have created today, especially for this group, incorporates the challenges that you had brought out. I hope I would answer them during the course of my presentation. There will be points that besides that I may not be able to cover. So definitely do write in to us and speak during the Q&A. All right, so let's get started. We're here today because all of us are committed about our children, and that's the reason why all of us are here. This is a forum for all of us to think about what might be the most appropriate way of doing online teaching. uh, we're living in strange times, strange actually, not even very, very strange. There is uncertainty in our lives, there's frustration, there's boredom, there's anxiety. And in all of this, we are here today because we are bound by the kids whom we love and by our passion for bringing the best possible learning experiences for our children. That is what brings us all together. If 2 months ago, if somebody had told us that we'd be learning and teaching and running our schools online, we'd have actually thought that they were crazy. But here we are trying to pivot and trying to find out how we can make the most of this, what is known as now the new normal. And I believe that it is only through pain and suffering, anxiety, that the clouds disappear and clarity emerges. And we, I think, as teachers, will step up. Through the depths of all this trouble will emerge new heights of courage, new innovations. And I think that is what is going to give all of us a fantastic new meaning. So today, let me just pull out my presentation. Just half a second, please.
Sorry, I'm listening to you, but many of them are able to hear you. Just
Yeah, it's better. Okay, somebody's saying it's better now. All right. So, can you all see my presentation? Is it visible to everyone? No? Okay, give it a minute. Still buffering, I guess. Okay, everyone is saying they cannot see my presentation. Yeah, here we are. I think it's come now. Yeah, okay. So I think for most of you now, it should be visible. Yeah, if it's not loaded yet, it's basically because, the net connection must be slow at your end. So in today's session, we're going to be discussing key issues related to teachers, students, and learning. We're going to be thinking about what are the online considerations for teaching online. What are some of the models that we can experiment with synchronous and asynchronous models? You must have been hearing these terms, so let's make sense of that. Let's find out what do we understand by the pedagogy of remote teaching. How is it different from online teaching? And also, what are some of the remote lesson plans? I have some examples and some very exciting material that I have painstakingly put together for you, and I'm really hoping that you will find this time that you spend with me very, very useful. Okay, so really, is this a crisis? Everybody has been calling this period as a crisis. But let's think for it a little bit deeper. Is it genuinely a crisis? Or, in fact, is it an opportunity? I'm going to stop here for a second and I'm going to ask you to vote. And this is the only way that I know that I can reach out to you. So I'm going to ask you to actually vote. What do you think? Is it an opportunity or is it a, a crisis? Can we think of it? What is your opinion? So don't write in the chat, write in the survey. Click in the survey, whatever you think is the answer. There are multiple options. I want to know from you. Okay, I'm going to give it another half a moment. There are about 566 of us and joining. Saurabh, answer in the survey besides writing on the chat. I want to hear your answer on the survey. How much do you agree with this statement? Can we consider this crisis to really be an opportunity? And you will realize that the audio is buffering, the audio is breaking, the video is buffering. That's normal. Somebody, Blessy says she can't hear anything. Vishal says he agrees. Someone else is saying no audio video. So that's basically because this is exactly how online teaching happens. It's a messy business, and there's something that we need to keep in mind. So 70 of you have done it. Can we complete it quickly so that I can move on? Okay, I'm going to stop the vote now. And a crisis can be thought of as an opportunity. It's interesting because many of you are saying that you agree with this or you completely agree with this. Okay. Okay, so the result says, I think I will not be able to show you the result till everybody has voted. And the result says that out of 595, about 600 people here right now, 20% of you say completely agree, and 48% say agree, and the rest of them disagree, and some of you completely disagree. Okay, that's very interesting. So for you, the crisis is a crisis, and it's not something that you agree with. All right, very interesting. But for most of us, I think we agree. 60% of us agree that this is an opportunity. Now, obviously, this is not an interactive session, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to keep sort of talking. The fact is that this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us teachers to up our game. For years and years, schools have been, requesting all of us to learn new skills, learn technology. We've been sort of saying yes, saying no, doing it when we can, doing it when we can't. But the fact is that now, when it's on our head, that's when we're going to have to up our game, and we're going to have to actually go back and ensure that we are able to learn new skills. So this is an opportunity for us to learn new skills, for us to be able to spend more time with our family, connect once again with the people in our houses whom unfortunately we're never able to give time to. It's also an opportunity for our children. I've often felt that our kids are very spoon fed. Really, the process of the responsibility of teaching and learning remains with the teacher or with the parent. घर में मम्मी ने पढ़ा दिया तो पढ़ लिया, teacher ने पढ़ाया तो पढ़ लिया. Otherwise, children seem to be sort of believing that they can get away with not taking the responsibility. I believe that this is the right opportunity for all of us to once again start looking at how we can bring that sense of relevance to our children, up their game, and ensure that they are actually learning the skills that they need to learn. So this is an opportunity, according to me personally, and I'm glad that at least 60%, 70% of us actually think of this. Let's talk about the next question, which comes to my mind. What are the needs of the learners at this point in time? There are various needs at this point in time. There are needs with respect to the fact that children are very frustrated. Their abundant energy has no release. They're cooped up in the house. There's boredom because there's repetitiveness. There is also an issue about stress that children are experiencing. A lot of them may not verbalize the stress, but there is stress happening in our children. I want to share with you something which is very interesting that a child actually said. I found this very nice video on that somebody sent to me during a few days ago, and you must listen to this because this is one of my favorite. Apologies to those teachers who are not able to hear, or who don't understand Hindi, because this is really one of my favorite poems.
पाएंगे ऑनलाइन जूम पर क्लासेस कर कर घुट घुट घर पर मर जाएंगे। अब टीचर देखे सीधा स्क्रीन पर, अब टीचर देखे सीधा स्क्रीन पर, और मम्मी बिल्कुल पास खड़ी है। जब पंख दिए हैं तो उड़ने दो, ये बचपन की खास घड़ी है। हम दोस्तों के संग रहने वाले, हम दोस्तों के संग रहने वाले कर देते थे टीचर को पागल। एक चिल्लाता था इस कोने से, दूजे उस कोने में कोलाहल। अब एक और मम्मी, एक और टीचर, अब एक और मम्मी, एक और टीचर, नजर बंद हम मर जाएंगे। जो कहते आए थे सालों से मम्मी को, वो सारे झूठ अब पकड़े जाएंगे, वो सारे झूठ अब पकड़े जाएंगे। यह टीचर तो अच्छा पढ़ाती, यह टीचर तो अच्छा पढ़ाती, तुम बेफिजूल की बातें थे करते, सुनते नहीं एक मिनट भी ध्यान से, सारे जहां की बकवास तुम करते। ये तुम्हारा दोस्त वो पक्का, जिसकी दिन भर तारीफ तुम करते। अब मैं समझी इसको देखकर कि पढ़ाई में तुम क्यों जा रहे पिछड़ते। लिंक ना दो हमें ऑनलाइन का, लिंक ना दो हमें ऑनलाइन का, चाहे वाईफाई के वायर कटवा दो। जब बचपन दिया है तो जीने दो, मोदी जी स्कूल खुलवा दो, मोदी जी स्कूल खुलवा दो।
So I love what he says at the end. He says, Modi ji, school khulwa do. You can hear the frustration in the mind of this poor child in being able to, wanting to go back to school. And that is the plea for every child, because now all their tricks, that everything that their stories that they've been telling their moms about how useless the teacher is actually coming to be caught. I want to show you something very interesting also. This is another video that was sent to me. See how a parent has kept the child busy. I found it very innovative, so I thought I would show this to you also. I think for those of you who are lucky where they have space, this is an activity you should definitely recommend. In the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you my email ID and my phone number. If you want both these videos, please write into me. I'll be very happy to share them with you. They're not mine. They're on the public platform. I'll be very, very happy to share them with you. But this is also really brilliant. Take a look. There's no audio in this. It's just a video. No, don't give me your email IDs right now. Write into me. I can't take it over here. Many of you are giving me your email IDs right now, so don't give it over here. Please write it to me. I would be more than happy to send it to you. Can you see? Look at the way the energy is being used. And now skipping. Surabhi, Suruchi, a lot of people still can't see. Is there any suggestion from them? Can you check with your tech team? There's no audio or video. There are a lot of people saying there's no audio, videos buffering. So now this is a jumping jack that the child is doing. All those who have even staying in multi-story buildings, probably you can make it on the terrace, on the roof, that is to say, and just go do it. And for those of you who can't and who have just a simple flat, see if you can use the corridor space to make something like this. It's just innovative and so good. For those of you who are suffering because of your audio and video, unfortunately, it's probably because of the connectivity at your end. There's really nothing that I can do from here. I wish I could help you, but I really can't. I'm so sorry about this. Great. So this is how this child has actually done it. Lovely. So you can see, I'm happy to share these videos. Like I'm saying, do not put your email ID in the chat right now. I can't take care of it right now. But post the session, I'm going to show you my email ID. Please write in to me. I'd be happy to reach you, with these videos. Okay. So going back to our presentation, I am just going to start it again. Give me half a second. Okay, so we've discussed the needs of the students. So one takeaway that I want all of you to think about, number one, is we need to focus on the socio-emotional well-being of our students. More than education, more than anything else at this point in time, our children need to feel safe. Do remember that permanent stress, and we don't know when this entire lockdown is going to get over. We've all been thinking maybe 1 month, 2 months, but we really have no idea. Just imagine, and I hope I'm wrong, just imagine, suppose it goes up to August. 2 to 3 months you're going to be staying in this kind of a thing. It is going to be very difficult for children. Initially, right now, a lot of kids are very motivated. They are attending the classes. They're happy because there's novelty. But the fact remains that you will find that over some time, once the novelty has waned, it may not be possible for us to keep children engaged. So it is important to keep telling children that they are important, that it's okay if they are not understanding. You are there for them. Please support your children. From all the times, the way you've supported children at this point in time, the level and the quotient of empathy, the level and quotient, the level of support needs to be far more than what it is right now. Stress causes changes in the brain structure. Our children are in the times when the brain is still getting formed. If the brain structure changes permanently because of stress, it will be disastrous for a child. So please assure the child, do not stress the child unnecessarily by taking tests at this point in time. Kindly ensure that you are supporting them with learning. Make learning fun so that they are engaged. Make learning, absolutely thrilling for them. At this point in time, that is what they need. They need our reassurance more than anything else. So do keep this in mind. That takes me to the next question, which is, what are we teachers going through at this moment? Now I can actually see, everybody's going to bombard my chat box with 1,000 ideas. Well, the fact remains that at this point in time, we teachers are also going through a lot, a lot. We are multitasking. The workload has completely, quadrupled. A teacher has to manage the family. You've got to work at home. There's cooking, cleaning. There is everyone. Like Mansi says, we are overwhelmed at this point in time. And to top it all, there is expectation from schools that in a jiffy, teachers know how to run the online classes. that we will be experts at doing this. Yes, it is challenging. But I also know that it is at this time, and from whatever number of schools that I'm interacting with, every principal is telling me how quickly teachers are stepping up, teachers are moving ahead, they're learning how to do work on different platforms, whatever it is, and everyone is trying to put out their ideas and they're actually looking at moving forward. Um, at the same time, I know that there are equal amount of number of teachers who are, moaning and groaning and complaining that, yeah, I remember meeting this, talking to this one teacher just 2 days ago. She's 59. I think she's going to retire in another 4 5 months. She says, "Ma'am, क्या करें? अब उम्र के करियर के एंड में भी ये चीज सीखने को मिल रही है. सीखना पड़ेगा, मैम. क्या करें, मैम?" So there are many of us who are moaning and groaning about this also. The fact is, what distinguishes between mediocre teachers and great teachers? The difference between the two is what is our mindset, what is our attitude. The fact is that if we have a growth mindset, then we're going to be able to really make the most of this time. Remember, we all agreed that this is an opportunity. So my simple recommendation to you is replace your fixed mindset with what is now called as a growth mindset. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset. And I kept contemplating that this is a session about online teaching. What does growth mindset have to do with it? The fact is, everything is linked to our attitude. Everything is linked to our mindset. So I have a small video that I would want to show you. Give me a second to put that on. This video tells us about what growth mindset is and how do we actually learn from this.
And they believe that skills and intelligence something are good because they built that ability. And people who aren't are not good because they haven't done the work. In short, they believe that you are in control of your abilities. Really, the core idea here is people with a fixed mindset believe that skills are born. People with a growth mindset believe that skills are built. People with a fixed mindset believe that you can't or don't have to learn and grow. And people with a growth mindset do believe in their capacity to learn and grow. Dweck's work shows that mindsets have a major influence on people's ability to learn, and that people who utilize this growth mindset tend to learn, grow, and achieve more over time than people with a fixed. Growth mindset really creates a solid foundation for great learning. And because of its power, companies, sports teams, and schools from all over the world are implementing this into their culture. Over the years, we've worked with a ton of amazing groups to help instill this within their culture. We're talking Fortune 500 companies, lots of colleges, lots of high schools, and even a few prisons who are working to build growth mindset into their reentry program. What I'm trying to say is this is bigger than one study or one TED Talk. This is a powerful concept that's helping lots of different people in lots of different places. Now, the reason it's so important and powerful is it is the foundation for learning. And if you understand this, no matter what you build on that foundation, it will be more powerful. But to really implement and run with this concept, we need to zoom in and look at the nuts and the bolts of it. We need to talk about what it actually is and how it actually works. Through years of work, Dweck and her team have uncovered sort of the defining characteristics of the two mindsets. This table really illustrates the contrast between the two. The first big characteristic we need to talk about is belief. Again, people with this fixed mindset believe that skills are born and therefore they can't or don't have to learn. People with a growth mindset believe that skills are built, therefore they can learn. The second major characteristic is focus. People in a fixed mindset tend to focus on performance and outcomes and results. In other words, their main focus, their main concern becomes how they look, and more specifically, to not look bad. People with a growth mindset tend to focus more on the process of getting better, of learning and growing. These mindsets and these characteristics have a huge influence on our ability to learn, and now we start to see why. Let's look at like the 4 key ingredients to growth: effort, challenges, mistakes, and feedback. The research shows that when somebody is in a fixed mindset, they look at effort as a negative thing, as something that you do when you're not good enough. They also don't see the value or purpose of putting in effort. They've been shown to back down and avoid challenging situations. They get really discouraged and worked up when they make mistakes. And when somebody with a fixed mindset receives feedback from a parent, a teacher, a coach, or a friend, they get defensive, they take it personally, and they don't see the value or purpose of the feedback. So in other words, people with this fixed mindset actually avoid and shy away from these 4 key ingredients to growth. Dweck and her team have shown that when people enter a growth mindset, they look at effort as a useful thing, as an important part of the learning process. They're actually more likely to embrace challenges and persevere and work through them. They see mistakes as learning opportunities, and when they receive feedback, they actually appreciate it and use it. Now, the fascinating and important part of this table is to connect the dots between these key characteristics of the two mindsets and our actions and behaviors towards learning. Let's look at the fixed mindset side first. They actually shy away from putting in effort because they don't believe that they can change. They give up when they're met with a challenge and things get hard because they don't want to look bad. So in their mind, the challenge becomes a threat, and because they don't believe that they can change. They hate making mistakes and are discouraged by mistakes because if you're making mistakes, you're not looking good. And they don't see the value or purpose of feedback because they don't believe in their capacity to grow. So in one way or the other, every single one of these actions is a byproduct of these characteristics. And the same is true on the growth mindset side. They see the value and purpose of effort because they believe in their capacity to grow. They're more likely to take on a challenge and persevere through it because they believe that they can grow and because they're focused on the opportunity to do that. So they frame a challenge as an opportunity to get better. And by focusing on the process and believing in their capacity to grow, they're more likely to understand how important mistakes are in this process. And when they receive feedback from a parent, teacher, coach, or friend, they're more receptive to this because their focus is on getting better and because they believe that that information can help them grow.
Okay, I'm stopping the video because a lot of you can't hear it. Let me just give you the gist of what the video is talking about. That the video is basically telling us 2 very simple things. Number 1 is that if we want to develop growth mindset, if we want to succeed in life, let's start from there. If we want to succeed in life, then our mindset is what plays the most critical role. For us to be able to develop a growth mindset, we need to focus on 2 things. One is what is our belief and what is our focus. For belief basically talks about, I don't have this talent, I can't do it. I am not very good at art, so I won't draw. I think intelligence is fixed. I'm not intelligent at all, so I can't do this. A lot of times, people who come with fixed mindsets, you would hear them talking like this. And it all is linked to the kind of belief that we have about ourselves. The second is about focus. If we are focused on performance and outcomes all the time, then we are always worried about how we will look to other people. Rather than that, we need to look at learning, learning, learning. And I'm talking about this for ourselves as teachers. I'm not talking about what we do for kids and what we teach kids. For a minute, just let's leave that away. Let's just talk about what is, if we can develop growth mindset in ourselves, then we are going to be able to make use of this time in the most fruitful manner. Let us develop a learning attitude, because let us take challenges, let us take feedback positively, let us work towards achieving our goals. That's the real crux of what this video is talking about. I understand that a lot of you are not being able to, see the video, but I will send it to you like I said. Kindly do not put your email ID over here. This is like the fourth time I'm repeating myself. If you could kindly send me the email later, I'd be very happy to share it with you. Okay, so let's move back to the presentation. I have some more very interesting things lined up for you. This was just a basic introduction about the fact that we need to look at our uh, growth mindset. So the takeaway from this is online teaching will be effective only if we focus on our beliefs and we focus not on our performance but on process. This includes developing skills. And for the leaders who are there, I know there are many principals sitting over here today. My simple recommendation is support your teachers in developing skills. Please provide a safe environment to your teachers. They are trying, they are trying very hard. Make it safe for them to fail. It's all right if they have tried and something has not worked. Please allow for space to innovate. I think our teachers are on the ground. They are the people who understand the challenges the best. Let us trust our teachers. This is my very simple message and very clear message to all the leaders, coordinators, and heads who are sitting here at this point in time. Please help your teachers at this point in time, because the support that we expect teachers to give to the students, I think we need to give that support to our teachers. The next question that we need to take is, what is the nature of teaching and learning in the online mode? Now, if we look at it, online mode teaching and learning is actually very similar to what we're doing in the class, with one basic difference. There is no face-to-face interaction. But no matter what we do, and all of us are, sort of looking at doing very different things, whatever you are doing today, please see and check yourself and look at it from the lens of these points. Is there active learning happening in the learning that my students are doing today? If children are only hearing you passively like you are doing right now, learning is never going to be effective. Um, is there differentiation happening in what I'm teaching them? I have 45-50 students whom I teach every day. This group is diverse. They have differing needs. Could you please ensure that there is differentiation for the children? Third, can we bring group work in some way in our teaching and learning? Can we develop higher order thinking and thinking for our students? When we check for understanding, how are we doing that check? Are we understanding that children are understanding our point? Can we can we organize the content in the most appropriate manner? Can we create like a aha experience for our children so that children really enjoy what they are doing? Can we extend or facilitate learning beyond our classes as well? For many of you, you're constantly sending me your email IDs. I am repeating again, do not send me email IDs here. Kindly write into me. I'm going to share my email ID at the end of this session. So you're going to have to stay till the end of this session for you to receive a copy of this presentation and the videos. So the quick takeaway over here is, let us use technology in the most intelligent manner. This includes using the right apps, using the right software, programs to make learning effective. That's the clear message over here. So there are two models that are possible. Model one is called synchronous. That is the live classroom. The live classroom is where you're using any kind of a way. For example, it could be Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, Skype, or any of such manners. The second could be asynchronous, in which you're sending videos, audios via WhatsApp. You're sending assignments, you're sending worksheets, YouTube links, etc. And these assignments are then done by the children, and then they are brought back, and there is a combination of the two. So I'm going to stop for a moment, and I'm going to ask you, I want to again do the next survey as to which is the model that you are doing right now. What is the model that's being followed in your school? Kindly answer the question. What model are you following right now? Answer in the survey, please, not on the chat. Okay, for most of you are writing that you're doing at this point in time with 64% responses. I can see that 33%, 6% are doing only synchronous live classrooms. To those schools who have answered only synchronous, my simple recommendation to you is use a blended model. For those who are using only asynchronous, there is no interaction. You'll have to look for a way to build in interaction in your classes, and we're going to talk about this. For most of you, 48% are currently reporting that you have blended learning, which is a good thing. So that's the result of our survey. I'm going to close the survey now and go back to our screen sharing. Okay, so out of the three models, the best model to use is a combination of both synchronous and asynchronous. It is possible that you may have a challenge. Let's look at ways as to how we can actually make this happen. So let's look at what is the pedagogy of remote teaching. The three most critical characteristics, I want you to note these points. One is interaction. You need to ensure that some level of interaction is happening. So if you are on an asynchronous model, you have to build in interaction. Number two, if you're, and what kind of interaction do you have to build? You have to look at student to teacher model, student to student model, and student to content model. All these models will need to be built in. Structure of content, you will need to think about what is the most effective way of teaching. How do we do the assessment? And the third aspect is, how do I build in learner autonomy and feedback? So learner autonomy basically refers to the ability of the student to take responsibility for his or her learning and to express that learning so that you may get a feedback about how you are actually going to understand whether children are learning or not. Okay. The next aspect that we need to look at, what is the planning and preparation that you need to do? The most important planning preparation that you need to do is to understand the knowledge. First aspect is your own knowledge. Knowledge of how do I teach online, knowledge of how do I develop the right materials, and how do I get the right assessment methods. In terms of skills, you're going to have to develop skills of all the technical skills that you need, develop online classroom management skills. Very, very important. You know, you've been doing classroom management in the classroom, but now classroom management of a different kind is required. Then you need to look at some of the typical problems that will happen, like what's happening right now with me. There are 700 of you, and 700 of you are giving me so many different messages. I have to develop the ability to glance a quick sneak at what is coming in my chat to get a sense of what is the pulse and be able to address that. Many of you are still writing, you can't hear me, there's no audio, can't hear anything. So this problem is a big problem. For this, what would we do? We could record our sessions, then send a link. If there are blank screens, you can't see what children are doing, then again, you're going to have to figure out a way. Each of these problems, there are solutions to it. Okay, so I'm going to take all your question answer at the end. Kindly keep noting down your question answers. If you have a question that you'd like to pose to me, then please write the question. Suruchi is noting it down very diligently, I know. The next thing you're going to have to look at is what is your IT infrastructure. What is the IT infrastructure of your kids? What is the readiness of students at this point in time? And you will need to create some kind of parent communication. You need to be able to ensure that you are giving clear set of FAQs to your parents. That's very, very important. So I'm going to talk of two more models today. The first model I'm going to talk is for blended approach, and then I'm going to also talk about what can be done for the asynchronous model. So what is the model that I'm proposing? Now, this is very careful. I want you to note properly. What is the basic bottom line? The model that we choose must ensure that learning is very rigorous, learning is fun, it is deep, and it is meaningful for the children. We all must also ensure that our work as teachers is optimized. Do I get a thumbs up for that? Can everybody tell me, give me a thumbs up that I'm taking care that your work as teachers is as managed as possible. Thank you, Sham. Thank you, Ekta. Thank you, Nalini. Thank you, Silky. Thank you, all of you. Yes, I am worried about your workload. You are important to me. So the model that I'm proposing, and you will see how simple it is. And I think I'm going to get a big thank you from you after this. So how are we going to do this? So take a picture of this model. If you have your mobile phones next door, do take a picture so that this is the crux of the whole thing. Divide your lesson into three parts. The first part is the before, the second part is the during, and the third part is the after. In the before part happens before your learning, before the learning. This is typically what we call as the flipped learning model. In the flipped learning model, the entire lesson gets divided into three parts. In the first part, in the before part, what is it that we are looking at? First, we're going to do a prior knowledge check. Secondly, we are going to give a small input to the children. This could be in the form of a short video or a short story. You could record yourself from your mobiles. It's very simple. But this input has to be on the lower level of Bloom's taxonomy. At this point in time, I'm sorry, I can't take you into what's Bloom's taxonomy. So I'm assuming that you know what it is. For those of you who don't know, please note this name and go and Google it for yourselves. So at the lower level of Bloom's taxonomy, you must give a teacher input. Now, why are we saying at lower level of Bloom's taxonomy? It's because this time we are helping children only to remember, identify, name, list those tasks that we think children can manage without too much of a teacher input. So allow a simple task of this, and I'm going to explain this with an example a little later. You will understand the beauty of this model. Then give individual work. Then all the work that I'm asking you to give at this time is whatever quiz that you're giving, please give the quiz on Google Forms. Google Forms is free of cost, very, very simple to use. But whatever worksheets you're giving, instead of sending it by WhatsApp, instead of sending it by email, do it in Google Forms. Now, what is the beauty of Google Forms and why am I recommending it so much? Is because you don't have to correct. That's the beauty. The minute the child submits the Google form, the answer is instantaneous. So we are, and I'm glad to know some of you are writing that you are using Google Forms. I'm very happy to know that. So what are the things that we can do? Number one, uh, prior knowledge check. Number two, teachers video at lower levels of bloom. I'm not recommending that you share a pre-prepared video, because research has been telling us, and we've been doing this for many years, is that a pre-prepared video does not help children. What a child understands from you as a teacher, the child will actually understand that much better, because the way you explain it, no video can actually take your place. Like I said, teachers, you are irreplaceable. That's a fact. So let's give ourselves a big clap at this point in time, because we are important, right? Okay. So in the during stage, what do? We have to ensure that there's active learning happening. We've got to make group work happen. We've got to ensure that children are learning at higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. We're looking at differentiation. We're looking at check for understanding. These are the 5 most important things that we need to do. So what do we do for that? We can do group discussions if we are using Zoom. And I know there's been a lot of queries on Zoom. Even if you're not using Zoom, there are ways through which we can get together and do work. We can ask children to do experiments. There are online experiments. One of you had asked me this question, ma'am, for chemistry, what do you do? I'm going to give you the answer for that. You can ask children to make graphic organizers. Now, here are the ideas. You need to note these down. I hope you're noting them down. You can do a quiz. Again, do it on Google Forms. You can play a game called Bingo. Very interesting. You can play like a noun bingo. You can play a linear equation bingo, and so on and so forth. There's so many ideas over here. Scavenger hunt, beautiful idea. A lot of group tasks. You can give practice worksheets both online and offline, and have children do them. Now, in the third stage, help children to take learning beyond the class, the live class. In the live class, you can help children through an extension activity. There is a post-topic quiz. There's also preparation for the next day. Now, what are some of the things that you can do as an extension activity? Give children group projects to work together. They are online, right? So help them. Can we think of doing something like a web quest? So if I'm teaching something, for example, on plants, can I ask children to make a web quest on plants? It's such a brilliant tool, so simple to use, and children will absolutely love it. Then help them to do presentations. Help them to make videos of themselves saying the answers. Help them to do interviews, again, graphic organizers, experiments, and so on and so forth. You can do an assessment quiz. There are so many ideas. Please make sure that Arna Sharma is continuously saying she can't hear me, but she can only see the videos. Parna, we will send you the recording of this. I hope you benefit from that. So I'm once again repeating: before, during, and after. Let's go into it a little more deeply. Okay, now take a look at this. Okay, I'm going into a little more detail. See this slide. Also take a picture of it so that you can yeah, Asta, I am going to share some ideas for pre-primary in a short while. Do stay on with us. So what do we do in the before section? We give a prior knowledge worksheet for about 5 to 7 minutes. When children do this, we know what their learning gaps are. After that, children see a short video. Now, one important tip over here, that make sure your video is not more than 3 to 4 minutes if you're doing up to primary level. For middle, not more than 5 minutes. For secondary, not more than 6 minutes. I picked this from a research from Harvard University that has told their own professors that none of your videos should be longer than 6 minutes at any given point in time. After this, follow it up with a hands-on activity. Once the hands-on activity happens, link this hands-on activity to something at home. Do a quick quiz. Now, because you're not spending any time correcting and the results are available to you in Google Forms, what you can do is you should take a look at the result and see for yourself how many children have learning gaps. And before your class is going the next day, before you go to your class the next day, make sure that you are ensuring that you have understood who are the kids who have understood and who are the kids who have not understood. Okay, so Suruchi, you wanted me to go back to the previous slide. I think that was much before, so I moved on ahead already. Okay. In this during stage, then move on, start with a starter activity, a quick way to to start the activity is required. Then look at recapping what you did the previous day, pose questions at a higher order, use a video if it's relevant, do hands-on activities and a recap activity. So I'm actually repeating what I explained earlier, but I'm giving a very clear structure to you to be able to do it. This is very, very important, and I'm repeating this again. In the during section, start with the starter activity, recap what you've done the previous, what the video that you've sent earlier. Then you want me to zoom over. Okay, let me do that for you. Just 1 second, please. I hope this is better. This is more readable. Yeah, I think this is more readable for everyone. All right. So I'm doing this again. The before, in the before section, we do prior knowledge, a worksheet. We do a teacher video. We give a hands-on activity. We do a quiz, and we check the results before we go to the class the next day. In the during section, we start with a starter activity, go on with base teachers' comments about what we've done. We pose questions at higher order. We show a video if it's relevant. We do hands-on activities. And we recap the key points of, the whole lesson that we've done. Like I'm doing, I'm repeating it again and again so that you're able to hear. In the after section, now here is a revolutionary idea that I'm proposing. You create WhatsApp groups of study buddies, all right? In the study buddies, put 4 children in a WhatsApp group and make these as permanent study buddies for all learning and teaching for about 2 weeks. Let one buddy group work together. Now, why am I saying 4? Is because WhatsApp permits you to do video calls with 4 kids. So for every group, assign a task. Now, what will happen is if you assign this task, if you remember, I had mentioned earlier that interaction must happen between student and teacher, right? Number 2, it must happen between the student and content. But here now, I'm proposing that we are bringing in the student to student interaction as well. If we have students working together, then we know that children will be able to be benefited. So any task, a short 5, 7, 10, 15-minute task where they all brainstorm and they do it together. This way, the fact that they've been missing their friends, this aspect of human interaction will actually be fulfilled. Then give them a hands-on activity, use technology effectively. For example, for math, you can use Khan Academy. It's a brilliant one. I'm going to show it to you in a few minutes. You can use something called MindSpark. There are so many other ideas which I'm going to discuss in a few more minutes. I hope you stay on with us. Then give a Google form. This is again a quiz for you to understand. End of the topic, have children understood it? So between the earlier one and the last one, if you see that children have understood, then it's great. Then give a short video for the next day, and so children prepare for the next day. So this is how the continuum will actually keep on happening. Okay, let's look at this from an example, from the perspective of an example. And I think you will understand this very, very simply. Suppose I'm teaching plants. It's class 2 and I'm teaching this for 3 periods. The bifurcation is day 1, I'm going to teach parts of plants. Day 2, I may be doing types of plants. And day 3, I might be doing uses of plants. Now, suppose I was to be doing day 1 parts of plant. How would it happen? The big ideas for me is that plants are different from other animals and humans is that they're able to produce their own food. The second big idea over here is that major organs of a plant include roots, stem, leaves, flowers, and fruits. And the lesson objectives. Now, here is where I'm again asking you to change what you're doing typically in a classroom. Normally, we write all the objectives together. I'm asking you to change it. I'm asking you to write 2 types of objectives. One, write a low level objective, which is what you're going to do in the before part of the session. And then write higher objectives, which you are going to be doing during and after. This is the way you're going to actually bifurcate your lesson. So in my case, for example, my before lower level objective was name and label different parts of the plant. In the during section, I'm going to help children analyze the function of each part of the plant. And for the after, my higher level objective is compare and contrast two plants on the basis of their size, their roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and fruits. That's where, so you can see that I'm taking children actually at a far higher level. So what am I going to do for the before part? I'll do a previous knowledge check. I'm going to send them 5 questions on Google Forms on things, on plants that they see around them. And of course, if I'm staying in Delhi, the form will be different. The local plants will be different. If I'm staying in, for example, in Guwahati, it will be different. If I'm in Chennai, it's going to be different. So do keep that local thing in mind when you're making it. Then I'm going to make a video. In this video, I'm going to actually tell a story. Rather than just explaining about a plant, I'm going to tell a story about a boy, Rahul, who wins a prize in his science project because he grows a beautiful garden for the science project. And then I could take a plant like this and I could show it live and I could explain. Now, if you see over here, the roots are also exposed and I'm taking leverage of that. And then I'm explaining everything about the plant. So you can see that it will become very interesting for the child. It's just like how you would do it if you were in class. Then from there, I'm going to do a hands-on activity. In this hands-on activity, I'm going to ask children to go to the kitchen, look at the vegetables, and then try and tell the mother which part of the plant are we eating. Are we eating, for example, if we are eating coriander, dhania, then we're eating leaves and sometimes the stem, which is very tasty and very soft. Suppose we're eating onions, then we're eating some other part. Suppose we're eating flowers, then it's some other part. So I want children to start thinking about it. The mother could also play a guess the fruit and vegetable game. She could make the child wear a blindfold and tell the child to touch it, smell it, and then think which plant is it. Now, isn't this so beautiful for a class 2 child to do this kind of a thing? Give me a thumbs up if you agree. And then I'm going to ask them to do a quiz on the parts of the plant. This could be done on Brain Pop. I'm going to show this to you in a minute. Or I could again do it on Google Forms. And then once after that I've done it, I'm going to check the results to know how many children have done it. Now, in the during part, the 40 minutes that I've allocated to it, I know we'll have about 35 minutes, 5 minutes goes in admitting children and doing all of that. Then my starter activity for this is I actually make a mind map on my live class using the help of children, and we all do it collaboratively. Then I do a quick recap of what I did yesterday, of the video that I sent yesterday. And then I use live examples of plants to a PPT. I show some pictures and I derive, not tell, but I derive the functions of a plant. From there, I could actually ask some higher order questions. I could ask children, do plants eat soil as food? Isn't this such an interesting question? How does that big plant come out of that tiny seed? Are all plants green and small? So these are some of the key questions that I might actually take. Now, for my hands-on activity, I could use a live plant and I could show them this live plant, or I could actually show a PPT if I don't have a live plant with me. And I could show this PPT and I could ask children to write down their observations. If I'm showing different types of leaves, I'm asking them to note down their observations. So children might come to the conclusion that leaves are of different colors, leaves are of different shapes, and so on and so forth. Teacher debriefs about what they are being observed. There's a quiz on parts of the plant. So these are some of the things that we could actually do. So do you realize that that this is such a wonderful way by which we could actually do this. Now, the plants lesson flow for the after phase. Task of group work on WhatsApp. I'm going to ask them to go and compare any two live plants on the basis of shape, size, leaves, roots, stems, flowers. And if these examples are not available to them, then I'm going to show a PPT. That's also so wonderful. I'm going to show them, ask them to do individual work. Check what mummy is preparing for lunch and dinner. Write it down, and also write down which part of the plant did we eat for yesterday and for today. Also help them to express gratitude for the food that they are eating, and that is provided, and the plants that provided that food. Then I could ask them to go to Brain Pop and play the quiz. And then I'm going to also ask them to show preparations for the next day, is show them uses of the plants. So, and again, this is going to be at the lower level of the plant. Now, this is, you want to probably take this, you probably want to take the picture of this, because this is the online lesson template that could be used. The lesson objectives, the big ideas of lesson objectives, the before phase would have the video, again, the same things that I've said. The prior knowledge test, the graphic organizers, again, the during phase, the reinforcement activities, the group project, online quiz, etc., etc. I hope you've taken a picture of it. Now, what does a typical day look like? Before we go on, I'm going to come back and I want to stop sharing for a moment. And I want to ask you, I'm going to go back to my survey and I'm going to ask you this. Feedback on the blended model. Do you see whether this meets all the things that we were talking about? Can you do this, this for me, please? Can you do this survey for me, please? Okay, and the survey results have started coming. Does the model proposed promote active learning? I think a resounding 74% of you are saying yes, and I'm happy about that. Some of you are saying no. I want to know why not. Please do explain why you think there is so much of active learning happening. I'm surprised that you're saying that. Does the proposed model ensure that there is adequate interaction between student and teachers, between student and student, between teachers? Again, most of you are saying yes. I'm happy about that. Does the proposed model ensure that teachers' work is manageable? Again, the answer is resounding yes. And the reason is that the only thing that you have to spend time on is your planning. That is the real crux of this whole issue. Though you don't have to spend time in correcting, but you have to spend time in planning. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Okay, now I understand not all teachers have, or not all schools have computers, but those are your individual problems. In a common platform where there are about 600-700 people attending, it is difficult for me to give you a very specific model for your school. However, if you think you want a specific model for your school based on your reality, please write into me. I'd be very happy to work with you and tell you what kind of a model based on your reality. I cannot give one shoe fit all kind of a model. Even if I proposed this model, The fact is that some parts of it may be possible, some parts of it is not possible. So do write into me. I'd be very happy to work with you and help you to move ahead in being able to manage this. Okay, I'm ending the voting for this. Somebody wants the model again. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not going to show the model again. Okay, I'll go back a moment and just show you the model again. All right. Here we are. Just take this slide. I think it should be enough. One moment, please. Okay. Here's the model again for you. One moment, it's coming on. This is the model, okay? The before, the during, the after. If you have this much, do as much as you can. For those of you, you have individual problems because there are some where there are device issues, etc., etc. I will try and look at as many models as possible, so please bear. Okay, with your permission, can I now move on? Okay, so this is where we were. Now, what does a typical day look like? All right. I understand there are that in a family where there are multiple children and there is only one device, maybe just a phone, it is difficult for the entire family to use it. Now, what do you do? So this is the way you need to plan it out. You need to stagger the timings of each group. So maybe pre-nursery to primary, pre-primary to primary can be up from 7:30 to 8, 9:30. 9:30 to 11:30 or 12 can be your middle and secondary, and after that could be your senior secondary. So stagger the timing. Each live class we don't recommend for more than 40 minutes. If you have 4 subjects, you'll have about 2.5 hours, and then the children are working. It's not that learning is finished if the class is over. You've given work for children, you've given extension activities for children to do. They also have to prepare for the next day. So with this model, children are completely engaged for another 3-4 hours. So you will see that it's the same amount of time as a normal day. Inform children of a time slot up to which calls or homework will be accepted. Please give a very clear time for interaction so that your workload, and my request to all the principals who are in this session, please don't let a case happen where children are uploading work and sending back work till 2 o'clock at night. It's not fair to the teachers. So please make it a guideline that we will accept work only up to a certain point in time so that the child also knows this is my school time and this is my work time. So how does a teacher manage all this? A teacher manages all this with planning, with collaboration, and by using technology smartly. All right. Now, how does a teacher manage all this again? How do you plan? So step 1 is please collaborate. You need to collaborate with your co-teacher. So for example, if I'm teaching maths for class 5A, there may be another teacher who's teaching maths 5B and another one for 5C. So the 3 of us can get together and we can discuss the entire lesson together. So all of us together writes down, collectively decide how that lesson is going to be taught, how each lesson is going to be taught. Then I can be given work for day 1. The second teacher can be given day work for day 2. Third teacher can be given work for day 3. And by chunking it, I am doing my work and that is used by all. The second teacher is doing for day 2 and that's being used for all. And the same way for day 3. Now, what are the individual tasks that I will need to do? I will need to make the video. Simply use a mobile phone. If you think that the video is very large, believe me, if you make a 5 to 6 minute video, it's not more than 10 MB. If you still feel it's very large, you can use a video compressing software. You can use worksheets using MS Google Forms. There's no correction needed over this. I'm saving your time and work. Look at the result about how children are performing. In the during thing, you need to prepare materials if there is any for the starter activity. You have to pick out a video from whatever whoever your service provider is, or find something relevant from YouTube, or make a PPT, whatever is appropriate. Then you need to pick out the video, you need to prepare the materials, whatever beforehand is there. Then For the after stage, you need to prepare the WhatsApp task, prepare a worksheet, and also identify the apps that the student will use for practice. All right. My suggestions are: start simple. This is the most important thing. This entire model is extremely simple when you look at it, but it may take you a few weeks to get into the groove of things. So you may first do for a few weeks, you may do the before and the during, and then after that, you may start the after. Or alternatively, you may do the during and after and start the before later. So it's up to you as to how you would probably manage. Ensure that your lesson is engaging. If you follow some of the ideas that I'm talking about, then you will find that that the lesson is extremely engaging. Then ensure that all students are attentive, they're responding to the questions, and ask students at random, questions to students at random. There's this teacher whom I've seen very recently. What she's done is she's got little ice cream flags, ice cream sticks. She's put them all in it. And then for every question, she takes out the stick and she says, "Oh, it's Rahul's turn. By Rahul, it's your turn. Now, why don't you answer?" So like that. So children also are attentive because they don't know, whose turn is going to be next. Encourage your students, even those who do not understand. Please understand their frustration. Communicate clearly with students. Maintain a steady pace. Do not lecture for more than 6 minutes at any point in time. Ensure that you are considering accommodations for children who have diverse abilities, because all your children are different. You can now, if you're making worksheets, for example, there are some children who are weak. You can give them those worksheets. There's no reason for you to give the same worksheets to everyone. There's a super bright child in your class, you can make another worksheet for that child. All right. So by using some of these suggestions, you'll find things very easy. How do we get children ready? Ensure that there is a dedicated workplace at a point in place. Ask students to wear a uniform. There's been a lot of debate amongst all of us whether we should ask children to wear a uniform. A lot of parents have said there's more work for us. I believe that wearing a uniform will give a sense of formality and a sense of normalcy for the child, that this is my school these days and that is my home. So it helps the child to actually figure out, that they are content continuously in a two zone. In one zone, they are in a two place kind of a scenario. Brief children, how to use their materials. Brief children about how to use the platform. Train them on how to use the LMS. Ensure that your children are logged in very well, that they are understanding all the technical issues, etc., etc. Record your lessons so that you can send it to those who don't attend, just the way that I'm going to do today. Put technologies first, put learning first and technologies second. Remember, if one set of technology is not working for you, there is so many options over there. You can look at using some other technologies that work for you. Again, if you need help, we are all there. Please reach out to us at Macmillan. We're very, very happy to come back and work with you. Lingering question, and this is a question that I'm asked very often: what about the written work? The irony of life is that more and more all exams are MCQ based questions. So in the initial few stages, please focus on the development of the concept and use MCQs, use one fill in the blanks, use true and false. You can ask these questions at a higher order. There's no problem in that. Written work can be given at the end of the chapter whenever the chapter is completed. I think that much is possible for you to correct as well. See if it's possible for doing those topics currently that lend themselves to online research and collaboration, so that we are able to not focus too much. Now, of course, languages we have to write, math we have to write. There is no choice, but there are ways in which you can also manage to do this. See if an alternative product is acceptable to you at this point in time. Instead of written work, can you ask children to speak and record that video and send it to you? Can you ask children to do a collaborative report? There are many of you who are using MS Teams. You can actually look at that. Where written work is mandatory and you cannot manage without it, then of course you can ask children to submit it to you online or on WhatsApp. It's very interesting that WhatsApp has a feature in which you can correct on WhatsApp itself. So you don't have to, send copious things by typing out. Then and there, you can actually just in the picture itself. If you send it back, there are ways that you can do it. You can probably just check out online. Here are some of the technologies that you can use in live conferencing: MS Teams, Google Classroom, Zoom. You can use Skype for Meet, WebEx. There is very good video conferencing software. You can use your mobile phone, your laptop, open broadcasting software. In the group space, there are so many free platforms that are currently available. There's Quiz. Kahoot is very, very popular. There's something called Socrative. Socrative is again extremely useful. Something called Quizlet. For experiments, there's something called OLabs. The ones that I'm mentioning are all free of use for use. Do you know it's very interesting that all the platforms in the world today are providing free resources. Macmillan themselves provide free platform. I remember, I think it's called Back to School. I don't have the link. I'm going to ask Suruchi to show it to you later. Suruchi, if you can kindly show the Back to School Macmillan.in link to everybody, because that's also absolutely free of cost. Please do use that. For reading, you can use a very nice software called Raz Plus. Again, it's a brilliant software. Personalized learning, you can use Khan Academy. So this is the Khan Academy platform, very free of cost. It's extremely simple to use. In the same way, this is Raz Plus. This is one of my favorite ones again. Completely easy to use, simple, so that you can very easily go over there and take a look at it. This is Brain Pop. Again, this is very simple to use. You'll be amazed at the kind of resources that are available to you. Okay. Model for schools with asynchronous mode, because a lot of you are doing asynchronous, and I want to share a model that I've created for you for that. Tell me if this can work in your context. So what are the challenges typically? And this is something that I've gathered from your messages, that the technology, you have lack of devices, there are internet and bandwidth issues. Students don't have any support mechanism because parents may be not in a position to help children. They're sending their children to an English medium school, but they themselves use vernacular medium. Teachers may send audio or video, but students may or may not be able to do those activities. Teachers are having a problem in checking and correcting and creating appropriate materials. There are other issues like there's no electricity at times. These are difficult things. So in view of these problems, what could be a solution? The solution could be like this. So step one, now I've kept in mind all those principles that I've put in place. The first thing the teacher could do is the teacher could show the video or audio explaining the concept at the lower level of Bloom's. So there again, use your phone. You can record an audio, you can record a video and send it to children, right? Use a hands-on activity like I explained to you about plants. This is definitely recommended. Something linked to home. I think this is very simple to do. Third thing, do phone conferencing. This is an option not many of us have explored. There are free phone conferencing softwares. Please reach out to those people as a school. If you reach out to them, I think they'd be very happy to put together a user ID and password for you. It's free, and it can take almost 1,000 students at a time. So I'm not saying the whole class needs to happen on phone conferencing. You can do a quick, maybe once a day or twice a day, depending on how it goes. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes, the teacher connects a positive, motivational kind of a thing with children, saying that I know we are all frustrated, but hang in there, do your best. You're going to get through it. You're going to learn today. And then she gives a small introduction about what is it that the children have to do. This way, the children have a connect. If children have a problem, then 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the end of the day, you could do problem solving. So this is a great thing. Now, your step 4 could be WhatsApp-based tasks for 3 students. Why I'm now recommending the 3 is that in each group, the teacher is also there. So, for example, if you have 40 children, you may make 10 groups, and you're there as a part, or maybe 41, 42 groups, and you are there as a part of every group. Now, when the children are doing those tasks, you are silently observing them, and you can come in and explain and see if the children are doing it correctly. That is a wonderful way of teacher to student connect, as well as teacher to student connect as well. Then individual hands-on task, again using all these platforms like Macmillan's back to school platform can also be used. Then again, Google Forms can be used at the end for the online test. Because the Google Form is in your sending material on WhatsApp, it is very simple to open and children can just do those MCQ based questions. So what are the key takeaways again at the end of this session? Okay, now I'm going to stop here for a moment and once again bring back my survey and ask you, what do you think of the asynchronous model? Tell me if this is doable in your schools. Many of you saying you haven't considered the option of phone conference. Do it. Seriously, it's a great option. You must consider it. No, we didn't think out of the box, but here's the chance. You can just Google yourselves, take a service provider who's based out of India, reach out to them and see what can be done. I think it's a great idea. Okay, does it promote active learning? Most of you are saying yes again. Then does the model propose develop interaction? Most of you are saying yes. Does the model propose that the work is manageable? Then again, the answer is yes. The question one person, Suruchi, this is for you. Does Macmillan share their textbooks? I would request Suruchi to please use respond to this question. All right. So I'm ending voting over there and going back to my presentation again. Okay. So what are some of the key takeaways today? One big takeaway for that I would want you to remember is focus on learning. Technology is only an aid. If one technology doesn't work, look for another. Don't get stuck to one thing only, because by this technology or that technology, the focus is, are our children learning? And for that, we need to bring a lot of rigor to the process of learning. We may never have this time again in our lives, because if this continues, if this lockdown continues, we may not have the option of revising the syllabus that we are doing today. So every day is important, every day is critical. Let's make use of our times. Teacher collaboration is the key to online success. If we can put our minds together, if we can all come together, then we can really, really bring a huge change. Planning for essentials is critical for a school. If you plan to fail, you fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Remember this. Start simple, go easy, and that's the way we're all going to get together. Simple point. This is life has given us lemon. We're going to make the best nimbu pani out of it. We're going to make the best lemonade. There are invaluable lessons that we are going through at this point in time. We've all agreed that this is the time for learning. This is the time for an opportunity. All we have to do is keep our eyes and ears open. We've already taken the first step. So just let's get started. Let's get started, people, because we can do this. And remember, we are doing this together. You are not alone in your process. Please note my email ID. I know a lot of you had queries, you wanted the videos, you wanted the presentation. I'm very happy to send it to you, but I will only send it to those who write to me. I have not taken down your email IDs when you put it on a chat. So please remember to reach out to me. And also, if you need help to create a model that works for your school, given your context and your realities, most happy to work with you. So please do write it, and I'm going to stop over here, and I'm going to now get off my presentation. Um, and I'm going to ask Suruchi to please help us with the question answers so that we can move on. Please ask the questions. I hope, Suruchi, you've been noting down the questions.
Yes. Hi. So there are a couple of questions that sounded really interesting to me, and they were being asked repeatedly. One was from Anita Sharma. She said if we could help her out with certain models that could be used for teaching Hindi specifically.
Same models, same models. I mean, suppose I was to teach any lesson in Hindi, exactly same thing could be done. You take any grammar lesson, you take any lesson, even if it's a lesson on, okay, let me take an example in Hindi for especially the Hindi teachers. I know the Hindi teachers always feel कि हमें नहीं बताया. So मान लीजिए कि आप पढ़ा रहे हैं, I'm speaking in Hindi right now. I hope that's okay with everyone. मान लीजिए आप पढ़ा रहे हैं हार की जीत, ठीक है? तो हार की जीत का मूल तत्व क्या था? हार की जीत का मूल तत्व ये था कि आपको you have to be forgiving, you have to be generous, you have to look beyond yourself, right? अब इस मूल आधार पे क्या आप बिफोर के लिए एक छोटा सा वीडियो बना सकते हैं? कर सकते हैं ना? दूसरी चीज, क्या आप बच्चों को एक छोटी सी हैंड्स ऑन एक्टिविटी दे सकते हैं घर में करने के लिए? इस मूल आधार पे पॉसिबल है. इस पाठ के दौरान जो शब्द आ रहे हैं, कठिन शब्द आ रहे हैं, क्या उस पे एक छोटा सा वीडियो आप बना सकते हैं? हो सकता है ना, जिसमें आपने ये शब्द बच्चों को सिखाए और अब आपने उनको बोला कि अच्छा बेटा, अब इस पे आप अपना वाक्य खुद से बनाओ और एक वीडियो टेप करके मुझे वापस भेज दो. अब ये हो गया आपका, ये आपका बिफोर का हो गया. उसके बाद में ड्यूरिंग के टाइम पे आपने एक स्टार्टर एक्टिविटी करी. उसके बाद आपने पाठ का एक अंश पढ़ा, बच्चों से प्रश्नोत्तर किए और बच्चों को बोला कि अब आगे बढ़ो, अच्छे प्रश्नोत्तर किए. उसके बाद में आपने एक हैंड्स ऑन एक्टिविटी कराई. पूरा पाठ नहीं पढ़ाया आपने, छोटा सा पाठ पढ़ाया, उसके बाद में आपने ये करा लिया. उसके बाद आपने एक छोटी सी क्विज दे दी. आप गूगल फॉर्म्स में हिंदी में क्विज बना सकते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आपको करेक्शन नहीं करना पड़ेगा. इसी के साथ में आपने एक्सटेंशन एक्टिविटी दे दी. जिस तरह से मैंने मॉडल बताया, यू कैन वेरी इजीली यूज दैट. तो कोई भी चैप्टर हो, कोई भी लेसन हो, इट इज वेरी सिंपल. सिर्फ हमें सोचना थोड़ा अलग है ना? हमारी सोच हमें बदलनी होगी. हम एक तरीके से स्कूल में पाठ पढ़ाते आए हैं. ये अगर हम बदलें, if we are able to change the way we are thinking, we will realize that it is so simple to be able to actually do this for any chapter. Okay, Suruchi, next question.
So next question is somebody is asking for your tips to make computer teaching more engaging, and what models can you suggest?
I'm telling you, I'm staying with this. Exactly this. If you want to teach children about computers, why do you need to teach children about computers today? They are using computers, isn't it? Give them tasks at an application level. Give them initially, I mean, okay. So let's take an example again. Suppose I'm teaching them about PowerPoint. Okay, that's my syllabus today. So now, when I'm teaching them about PowerPoints, what identify the lower level objectives of Bloom? It could be that children just get familiar with the application of PowerPoint. So I'll ask them to open the PowerPoint. I will tell them that go on the computer, open PowerPoint. If they don't have a computer on the mobile, they can use the relevant PowerPoint that is called slides in Google. They have the same features. They can take a look at that. Same way, before, during, after. Exactly the same way. Try it out, people. Please try out and tell me, write into me and tell me your challenges. I would love to hear from you. So for every single subject, I don't have the time right now. I had so many examples, but I wanted to leave a little time for online, for our discussion as well. But do note, there is a lot that you can do, which is so simple. Okay, Suruchi, next.
So some of them wants to know what can be done for the pre-primary classes.
Okay, so
And how many
Suruchi,
hours?
I have a wonderful solution for pre-primary. With your permission, may I show it?
Sure, sure.
Okay, so I'm just showing you. This is the software that I came across. Just give me a second to open it
Ma'am, for that,
out. Okay.
in fact, if you can just give me a moment, many of them have also
Yeah,
been
let me
asking about.
open. Shall I open? Yeah. So why don't you show what is lovely in Macmillan at this point in time,
So,
and I
because
will show one more video.
many of them have been asking what Macmillan can do. So just
Yeah,
give me
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah. Please,
moment.
please, just, yeah.
I will show,
You,
share my
yeah,
screen,
you
and
do
I'll
that,
show.
and then I'll come back with one more for specifically for pre-primary.
So I hope my screen is visible. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
not
So
yet, not yet.
once you go into to our website, that is Macmillan
No,
Education.
currently, Suruchi, you're not currently visible. Am I doing something wrong? I don't know. Yeah, yeah, it's coming on board now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
now
I'll
it's there.
take.
Yeah,
It's there. Perfect.
yeah, yeah.
So all you have to do is go to our website, macmillaneducation.com, and once you scroll down a little bit, there is this thing called Back to School. These are free resources that we have accumulated for the teachers and for parents, and it caters to all category from K0 to K12. Say you want videos for K12, you go to pre-primary. You were talking about pre-primary, right? So you have nursery rhymes, a list of them. You have for different. So you have for nursery, you have junior KG, senior KG. Then if you go back to your slide, then you have for science, math, social sciences. You have worksheets. You have Off Traveler. These are for certainly for a bit of a higher class. You have e-books available on our e-readers. So all those materials that you need are available online. All you have to do is just log on to this particular site and just go through the content, and it's freely available for everybody. From pre-primary up to class 8 and even to the senior classes, everything is available online.
Great. With your permission, can I show one more resource?
Sure.
Suruchi?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Macmillan stuff is brilliant. I visited their site. I've been using and recommending this to a lot of the schools where we are working, even though they may not be using Macmillan's books, but they're really, really beautiful site. There's another one that I've come across, which I absolutely love, and perhaps you can take a look at this. This is called rasplus.com. Rasplus.com has some brilliant resources for uh, for foundational skills. You can use this in addition to what Suruchi has shared. For example, if you want to show decodable books, and I know pre-primary teachers. Oh, sorry. Okay, let me go on. Let me go on. Share. Just give me a second. Are you able to see my screen now? Probably take a moment to come on. Give it a moment. So RasPlus is a site that you can look at. They have some really nice things for uh, phonics. It's really really good. Suruchi, I'm not able. Still not come on. Sharing is still not. Yeah. Okay. Here we are. Okay. So I hope all of you can see this. So these are decodable books. Suppose I want to show consonants, short vowels. I can simply click on that, and then I can choose whichever one that I want. So for example, suppose I want tap and a pat. I'm doing short A sounds. You'll see that there are resources over here. You can assign it to children. You can listen to it. You can read it. So there's a digital preview available. There is so this is how it comes on, and this is how it goes on. All right, so you can actually play it. Yeah. So this is how you can see it. There's a phonics lesson given over here. Uh, you know, the number of resources that are currently available free of cost, you must use them, because it, you know, your mind will explode. Genuinely, I'm telling you this. This is the time in life for any learner to learn anything in life. So please use some parts of this resource. So this is for pre-primary. There's another brilliant one that I came across, which is on which is called Brain Pop, which is for science. Again, extremely interesting. Suppose I was to use, you know, do it for the parts of plant. See the kind of things that there are. You have word play, you have a game, you can draw about it, you can make a map, you can do an activity. So, you know, there's an activity that has been given. Uh, do check it out. All of them are absolutely easy to use, and very, very simple. There's another one called Khan Academy. Khan Academy allows me to assign individual things to all the students, and that's the way that you can actually do it. Okay, so these are some of the resources that I found very useful. You could kindly, use them. Guys, I'm telling you this again and again. I am not noting down the chat. I'm not saving the chat, so I will not have your email ID. You have to take the trouble to write to me on the email ID that I have given. And for those of you who didn't note it down, I am just writing it in the chat box once again. That's my email ID. Please write in if you want the presentation. One of you, yeah, Suruchi, continue with the questions, please. Suruchi, are you there? Suruchi, have you dropped out? Okay, I think she's dropped out. Okay, so I'm just reading some of the other questions that are coming. Can you give me a second? I'm just getting Suruchi on this thing. Okay, some of you can ask me questions in the chat box, kind of, because Suruchi seems to have dropped down. Just read aloud your email ID, okay? ASLLESHA dot Thakur, THAKUR, at the rate lead innovation, LEADINNOVATION.org. Okay. Will you suggest hands-on activities? My God, I've suggested so many hands-on activities. Okay, here are some more. One, you can do a KWL sheet. This is very nice to use as a starter activity in the beginning. I've asked you to do a bingo. Bingo activity is you make, you know how you play housey? Like that. You make a little grid with little things written. All the children can be sent the bingo sheets beforehand, and then you can call out and children can write it down. That's a great way of doing it. A lot of you have questions about Zoom. There are security concerns about Zoom. Well, choice is yours. It's your IT department. Zoom is, there's a lot of security concern that everybody's been talking about. Parents are also objecting. Please go ahead. There are so many other softwares out there. If you can look at Google Classroom. You can look at MS Teams, Microsoft Teams. You can use it. So many others are there. You can look at WebEx. You can simply do Skype. You can do GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting is another one. You can even look at Meet from Google. So there are so many.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
So there was another interesting question. There was this lady called Shivani Gulati who wanted to know about solo taxonomy.
I'm sorry?
Can your model be related to solo taxonomy?
I think there's some I'm sorry, I haven't heard of this taxonomy. Please do tell me a little bit more. I'll also study it. Can you spell it out for me again? Let me, Shivani, if you are there, please send your email ID or write it to me. I will locate this and come back to you. And please note, I'm a person who's saying very clearly, I don't know. And as teachers, if there's something we don't know, say the truth. Study up on it and come back. Okay, a lot of you are asking me questions about, yeah, please go ahead.
So another question was, somebody wanted to know, how can your models be implemented in the teaching of social studies?
My God, so simple. No matter, you know what? Right now, this model is new for you. So think for a minute, what do I need to do before the lesson? What do I need to do during the lesson? What do I need to do after the lesson? For the before section, look at the lowest level objective. Look at words like identify, name, list, etc. For your during session, look at what are the hands-on activities. And for the after session, look at what can I do to extend it. That's the simple thing. Bifurcate your lesson. Simple. Okay, let me give you an example. Suppose I was teaching about Indus Valley. All right. So in Indus Valley, I don't need any prior knowledge for this really in that sense. Or I could probably simply start with a video in which I could show them, very interesting clips, a small movie about Indus Valley, and I could actually talk to them about it. Or I could refer them to one of the websites, any one of the websites. You'll be amazed at interactive, websites on Indus Valley that are available. Please Google it, find it, give a link to the children, say, children, explore this, and here are a set of questions that you need to do. That's your before. Look at the results during the next day. Start with Indus Valley, create like a mind map, create at all the features, give an explanation, do a hands-on activity. And an extension activity could be that you are living in Indus Valley. How would you find your place from the Great Bath to the granary? Find it and give them the map of Indus Valley and help them find the road to it. That will help them to actually study this. This could be a great WhatsApp task. I'm just sort of speaking out of my top of the mind right now, but it could actually, if you start thinking and develop it, I think it will work really well. Okay, next one.
So another question from Anjali Sharma. She's asking, how many hours of class do you recommend for grade 1 every day?
Okay, so I mentioned this earlier. We are recommending for pre-primary not more than 1.5 hours. For primary, we are recommending not more than 2.5 hours. For middle to secondary, we are recommending not more than 3 hours. And I'm saying live classes. That's what I mean. I'm not saying the school day has to be short. Please don't misunderstand me here. When I'm saying that live class, 1.5 hours for pre-primary, it means that you can do 30-minute sessions, one session of math, one session of EVS, one session of English, and that's it. And then follow it up with what they need to do on their own, where the parents can help them. So bifurcate your class into what you will do during this class and what will you ask them to do later. Okay. What else?
Okay. So then it was all. Okay. How can we use Veda Javed wants to know, how can we perform laboratory experiments through live sessions?
Okay, so you can look at Brain Pop. Brain Pop has very good experiments that can be done. O Labs. Okay, O Labs. I'm putting it down on the chat. You can take a look at it. O Labs is brilliant. It's been made by the Government of India, by the Ministry of Science and Technology. It's really nice. Please use this. Then you can look at Exploriment. Exploriment. This is another one. You can look at Brain Pop. You can look at there's another very nice one called My Physics Lab for physics. This one, My Physics Lab. Okay. So these are four ideas that I've given you. For 9 to 12, this thing you can use Khan Academy as well. For 9 to 12 physics, chemistry, maths, not for experiments, but for checking and practice and all of that, you can use Khan Academy. And the good thing about Khan Academy is that it's available in local languages also. It's available in 5 languages. You can take a look at that.
So more or less, we have covered.
Somebody's asking for English. Somebody's asking for English. For English, I strongly recommend One Stop English. It's a Macmillan site. It's brilliant. Suruchi, are we giving free access to that?
Yes. So everything is
One
linked
Stop
to
English.
back to school.
So
platform.
One Stop English and Back to School. Both these are brilliant for English. For Macmillan is a leader in English. I think you must consider their resources.
So more or less, ma'am, we have covered, in totality all the questions. It's just that everybody is repeating more or less similar questions now. So I think we can go ahead and you can address the audience once
Close the
again.
session. So I'm going to close with a little story. For all the 457 people who have stayed on till the end, they deserve a small story. All right? Okay. So many years ago, I was in a workshop. Not many years ago, sorry, a few months ago actually. I was in a workshop, and I asked teachers. This was, I was meeting them for the first time, and I was asking them. I said, "What are you teaching? Tell me about yourself." So each one of them got up and they introduced themselves. Ma'am, I'm so and so. I teach physics. Ma'am, I'm so and so. I teach chemistry. Ma'am, I'm so and so. I'm teaching math, so on and so forth. But one answer has stayed with me all these days. This was a history teacher, and she got up and she said, "Ma'am, I'm Shobha Malhotra, and I am teaching students how to make history." How wonderful is that, isn't it?
Amazing.
Whose class would we like to attend? I would like to attend Shobha Ma'am's class because she's going to teach me how to make history. She's going to help me reach the zenith of my potential. And that is what teachers do. At all points in time, we need to express enormous amount of appreciation for the work that we are doing. And I want all of us to clap for ourselves at this point. Let's clap for the teaching community because together we are making a change. We are the ones who are at the forefront. We are essential to this community as much as the doctors and the nurses are at this point in time. So join me, clap you for yourselves. Come on, guys. Please put kudos for yourselves. We are the ones, we are making it happen. The next generation is depending on us, and we are the ones at the forefront. So much of gratitude to each one of you for coming here. And that's another thing, guys. Remember, today you're attending, you have a wonderful brain, you have the ability to learn. Think of someone who's ill. Express gratitude for what you have, not worry about what you don't have. It's all right. We can do it together. We can find solutions together. All the very best to all of you. Be in touch. Explain your successes to me. Share with us if you're not being able to do what I'm telling you. I'd love to learn. There's learning in failure, there's learning in success. So do share it. Love all of you and take care. Stay safe. Stay inside. God bless each one of you. I'm putting my email ID once again at the bottom. Do write in. I'm happy to share all these resources with you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a really insightful session. And thank you so much to the audience. I think we have all gained a lot of understanding and knowledge. Thank you once again for giving us the opportunity.
Goodbye and all the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.